Hello there. This is Jen T. Grace. I am the founder of Publish Your Purpose and also the founder of the Institute for Author Growth and Impact. And I'm here for day one of 11 days of content around how do we use AI to help us write and create our book. What I want to kind of start with saying is that this will lead into a workshop that is on June 17th. The link is in the description below if you would like to attend. And we'll go into more detail on AI and kind of the writing and creation in that workshop. However, these 11 days are going to be spread out between today, May 21st, and the workshop day of June 17th. So my plan for you is each day I want to uncover a hurdle, a roadblock, something that is getting in your way of getting your book done. And AI is a great way to do that. What I want to kind of set the foundation with is that there are a lot of, I don't want to say shady ways to use AI, but there's a lot of ways in which people are using AI that's not really in support of getting a book out there in a way that feels authentic, that feels meaningful, that feels resonant, that is aligned with who you are, how you're showing up, and how you want your brand to show up as a result of writing and publishing your book. Therefore, everything that I'm going to talk about in these tips and kind of as we go is going to be through the lens of how do we use AI from an ethical standpoint with integrity and make sure that we're not using it in a way where it strips away our voice or waters down our voice. We really want to be mindful and intentional on how do we actually put our voice into AI to have it spit back out something that we can work with. At least we have a starting point to work with. So as I mentioned, there are going to be 11 of these videos in total. And today I want to kind of just uncover a little bit about, reasons why books tend to be just kind of like stuck in our head. I've been working with authors for over a decade. PYP's birthday is this October for an official 10-year anniversary. And I was an author before that. So I wrote my first book in 2011. I published it in 2012. I have now written and published 8 books total, and have worked with hundreds of authors, published just about 250 books for other people at this point. And one of the things that I see all the time is that as authors, we just don't know how to get out of our own way, because it's not that we're not disciplined enough to kind of sit down and get it done. It's not because we don't know what we want to write about. It's the idea of writing a book just feels absolutely enormous. And the reality is it doesn't have to be. And what I say often to folks is that every industry benefits from confusion, and the publishing industry is no exception. So if you're thinking about putting your story on paper, there's a lot of conflicting information that exists. It gets really overwhelming, and then before long you have analysis paralysis, and then you don't take any action. So I want to have us use AI as a way to kind of bypass and get around some of these things. So without further ado, I want to kind of get into the AI tips. So what I also want to be doing in this workshop is giving you the exact prompt to start kind of getting this moving. So the reason why the book is still in your head is a lot of times that we just don't have clarity. We don't know exactly who we're writing for, which is going to be a different tip, or where we're trying to go, how we're going to get there. It's just kind of like, hey, I have this idea. I want to write this book. That's great. We love that. And how do we pull it out of us? So if I go back in time to 2011, when I was writing my first book, I was writing that book because I was consulting with corporations and doing a lot of keynote speaking, a lot of focus groups, research for companies. And over and over again, I had the decision maker who brought me in, basically say, this is great that you're teaching, the people here with us, but I would love to be able to pass this information on to other people in the organization. So that's what prompted me to write my first book. So I kind of had a clear sense of like what the purpose of it was, because I knew I wanted to have the book as a leave behind for folks who I was doing work with. As my books have evolved, I have changed how I declare what that purpose is. When I was writing my memoir, which I was writing that in 2019, published in 2020, that I wasn't super clear on how I was going to get the purpose of what I wanted out of my head and into the page in a way that readers understood what I was trying to accomplish. So I worked with someone to help me do this. And so obviously I do this now for other people. And at the time I was doing it for other people too. But even as experts in what we do, we still need outside support to help make it happen. So I worked with somebody and we were hunkered down together at her place in Connecticut. And we had, just the old school kind of like flipboard, the big old Post-it notes. And we were really trying to uncover and dig deep of like, okay, why am I writing this memoir? What's the purpose of it? Why does anyone matter? Why does it matter? Why does anyone care about the story? And we like really dug. That was me and another person. And it took us like a whole half-day strategy session to like really uncover the purpose. I share that story because this is how AI is truly advancing us into such different uncharted territories in terms of how quickly we can get our books out, but also how quickly we can get the clarity. Because the reason your book is still in your head is because you just are missing the point of clarity. So there is a character limitation on the screen below. So I'm going to put half of the prompt and then the other half of the prompt. So I encourage you to take this, and I will paste this prompt into the description below so you can copy and paste it later. But basically, you want to say, I want to write about a book about, and then insert your topic here. You can put as much or as little information as you would like. My reader is someone who has or who blank. Now that's just the description of the struggle. And so that is basically, why are they picking up this book? So my expertise is in nonfiction and memoir. And so when we're looking at nonfiction books and even memoirs, people are coming in because they have a problem, a shared problem. They're looking for a solution. They want some kind of transformation, and they're looking to you as the expert and the guide to be the one that's going to help you get there. So now, what is their struggle? Then we want to put what I want them to think, feel, or do differently after reading my book is insert your answer here. That is the transformation piece. So this is kind of the first piece. And I'm going to give you an example of one that I ran through with this exact prompt. So this is the first piece of the prompt. The second piece is going to be what the actual action item that we want on the other side. We kind of want a purpose statement on the other side. What I was describing before that took a half day and flip charts and trying to figure out what the purpose statement was, that's what we were uncovering. We're trying to figure out what the purpose of this book is. And so now we can just ask AI to say, help me write one sentence that captures the purpose of this book and respond in first person and present tense. So this looks like, for me, let me pull up my document. I have, as I mentioned, 8 books that I've written. So you can see 3 of them on the shelf behind me. And so Publish Your Purpose is a step-by-step guide to write, publish, and grow your big idea. So that book is all about the writing process and about the publishing process and a little bit of marketing. Then I have Promote Your Purpose, which is a nonfiction guide to grow your impact, influence, and income. And so with that book, that is all about book promotion. So I have 2 books. And to me, I like to think in 3s. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is a trilogy. Maybe I need a book that actually comes before Publish Your Purpose, a book that precedes someone uncovering and identifying what their purpose is in the first place. So I use that as an example to come up with what my prompt would look like. So remember, I'm putting back up the first half of the prompt here. So I, doing this kind of pre-work myself, came up with, I want to write about the pre-work that goes into finding one's purpose before deciding to write a book. My reader is someone who knows there's something bigger for them, but may not know how to uncover it. What I want them to feel, think, or do differently after reading my book is that life is more than just having a job and that you can live your purpose every day. Help me write one sentence that captures the purpose of this book and in present tense. So that's what I kind of just came up as an example of thinking like, hey, maybe my books are, maybe this is part of a trilogy here. And so the sentence that it came back for me is, this book, hang on, actually I had a better version. This book helps people uncover the purpose already within them so they can stop living on autopilot and start creating a life and eventually a book rooted in meaning, alignment, and impact. What this does for me is it's just this very simple sentence. Let's see if I can easily drop it on the screen for you. And so this is now a purpose statement for a book that maybe I will pursue at some point in the near future. And so for you, if you've been just kind of thinking about like, what is in my head, what am I trying to write about, at least this AI prompt is going to help you get to the bottom of what your purpose is, because this becomes your North Star. This becomes your vision. So when you are starting to work on this and you inevitably hit the highs and the lows that come with writing a book, because there are many and they are predictable in some ways, you can always go back to say, okay, that's right. The purpose of this book is because I want to help people uncover their purpose already within them so they can stop living on autopilot and start creating a life rooted in meaning, alignment, and impact. That already is such a grounding statement to work with, because it's like, okay, now I have a general sense of where I want to head. And mind you, this was the AI prompt I did not edit this response back to what I put into it. So you want to kind of go deeper, you want to edit. So the more information you can kind of feed your AI, the more clear you can have that in response. Also, these prompts are agnostic to the tool that you might be using. So I am a big super fan of Claude. Prior to that, I was using ChatGPT and also Gemini. So all three of these programs for me have different kind of flares and senses of who I am and kind of how I show up and what I'm kind of writing about. So go to the AI of your choice and decide, does this make sense for you or not? And if you are just tuning in after I've already been talking for 11 minutes, I will put the prompt of what I had asked AI, and then I will also put my response to the prompt in the description below, so that way you can take that and run with it. So that is essentially the conversation for today. I'm keeping these short on purpose. I don't want them to be long and belaboring the points. So we're talking about the reason why your book is stuck in your head, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about an AI prompt that helps you figure out exactly who you're writing for, because we really need purpose. We need clarity. We need clarity at the start of anything related to books. So we're going to start with today with, now we have a purpose statement. Tomorrow we'll talk about how are we going to figure out who exactly your book is for. And just as a reminder, as I kind of said at the start of this conversation, this is in promotion of a workshop that I have coming up, which is Write Your Purpose, with the support of AI, and that is coming up on June 17th. The link to register for that workshop is in the video below. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, you want to brainstorm what your purpose is, whatever the case may be, whatever platform you might be watching this on, please just drop a link in the comments, and I'd be happy to help support your journey along this path. And I will see you tomorrow for our